Now, from the Super Doppler 10 Weather Center, this is a severe weather alert.
Good morning, Chief Meteorologist Jeff Edmondson here. We have new warnings that have been issued from the National Weather Service since we hopped back into the local programming and now came back here. And yes, if you've been watching, I did get some water, so we're good to go. Let's talk about this warning. We have a severe thunderstorm warning, including the city of Virginia Beach until 2:45 in the morning. The main threats for these storms are for very strong wind gusts. 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts are a possibility with these storms. Now, in the areas where we're getting the heavy rainfall, we're getting rainfall rates of around 2 to 3 inches per hour. Let's focus in on the details of this storm. This storm is moving to the southeast at 45 miles an hour. This storm could contain 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts. So this is moving into areas around the city of Chesapeake, the city of Virginia Beach, the city of Norfolk, the city of Portsmouth. And it's mostly for a couple of things. There's an outflow boundary right here, and there's also a new thunderstorm that's developing right here. New thunderstorms aren't our friends because new thunderstorms get, and especially in these situations, can get really strong really fast. It's not at that level yet, but this is a storm that we're going to be watching here as we go into the next few moments. So let's see what's going on. We also have a warning into northeast North Carolina. This storm, including spots around Belvedere, could contain 60-mile-an-hour wind gusts, really heavy rainfall too with this. Let me do a quick analysis of this storm. Looking at the storm wind with this, we're getting signs that the wind speed is picking up a bit. Still not getting anything that's very strong, but I'm seeing wind gusts around 30 miles an hour or so with this. There could be wind gusts that are stronger with that, possibly up to 60 miles an hour with that storm. Back to areas into Virginia. We have a new thunderstorm that's developing right over Chesapeake right now, Great Bridge. This is not part of the storm that has the warning, this is not part of the storm that has a strong wind with it. There could be some wind with it, but at this point around Chesapeake and Great Bridge, I would say these wind speeds that I'm clicking on the screen here are totally accurate at around 30 miles an hour. As we look to spots across the city of Portsmouth and also into the city of Norfolk and also looking out over the bay, there's some very strong winds that are out over the bay right now, And those winds are at, over the bay, those winds are around 50 miles an hour just by looking at the color yellow. Let me ping some of those on here, even 60 miles an hour. Thankfully, we don't live over the bay, so that's going to miss our locations into Virginia Beach. But for Virginia Beach, in terms of the wind speeds in your area, you could see wind gusts up to 60 miles an hour. Now, I've been keeping in touch with Don Slater. I've been keeping in touch with meteorologist Ricky Matthews, Jeremy Wheeler. They're all messaging me right now. So Jeremy Wheeler's on his way in here shortly. Don Slater has been mentioning that he had some strong wind gusts in his area as these storms rolled through. So we've been seeing these strong winds coming through our region. Same thing for also Ricky Matthews as well. We've been seeing the strong winds. No reports of damage from any of our meteorologists in their locations, but we are watching to see the potential for some of these strong winds to move into maybe your hometown, maybe where your neighborhood is here in the next couple of moments. Let me ping some of these wind speeds on here. Let me give you a time to arrival for Virginia Beach. I haven't done that yet. 41, 50-mile-an-hour winds possibly inside of the storm. We're now going to switch back to the regular radar, and you can see what's going on with the rain. So this is kind of confusing when we look at it because we saw the leading edge of the wind right here. But when we look at where the rain is, it's not matching that at all. It's a little bit different. So what we're going to do is I'm going to kind of just remember where that line of wind was, and we're going to kind of slice that area and use that as the leading edge. So yes, you're going to get some rain before the wind may arrive into Kempsville. Kempsville, we're looking at that time to arrival into your area at 1:57 a.m. 6 minutes from now, you could see some very strong wind gusts. I'm not seeing any rotation with this. I'm not seeing any tornadoes with this storm. I'm just seeing a storm that has a lot of wind with it, and I do see that there's a new severe thunderstorm warning. We'll check in with that in just a second. But for spots across areas in Virginia Beach, Pungo, 2:15 in the morning, you could see that move into your area. Grassfield, the strong wind could move in at about 2 o'clock in the morning. That could be the same also for Little Neck, Great Neck. You could see some of those strong wind gusts into your region. So Where are we right now? We have this severe thunderstorm warning that goes until 2:45 in the morning for areas into Virginia Beach. This storm, the main threat is for the strong wind gusts to 60 miles an hour with this storm. I'm not seeing any rotation or tornadoes with this storm. It's a storm that could have some straight line winds with it. I haven't seen any reports of strong of wind damage yet in the last half an hour from this. Doesn't mean that it won't happen though. So we're going to have to watch for that. Let me clear everything out. There's a lot of rain that's developing over Chesapeake here just in the last few moments. The new warning is for the eastern shore, and this makes sense because there's some very strong winds that are moving into Cape Charles right now. Some really heavy rainfall too. So Cape Charles, you have some wind right now in your area. You're probably going to see wind speeds even stronger, maybe moving in. The strongest winds are over the bay right now, and these are moving into your region. I'm going to assume the speed of this gust of wind in terms of how fast it'll arrive should be the same. And that should be moving into spots across the eastern shore here coming up in the next few moments. So pick the spot that's closest to you, and that's a time when the strongest winds could move into the southern part of the eastern shore into Northampton County. So we're seeing a chance for some strong winds into the eastern shore. We're also seeing a good chance for some of those strong winds to move into spots across Virginia Beach as well. Kiptopeke, some very heavy rainfall. I wonder if there's any hail in that spot right there. There is. Now, Fisherman Island, no one lives there. You can't even step foot on the island. That's protected. Kiptopeke, campground near the area. The hail should just miss that spot into Kiptopeke. So thankfully, the strongest part of the storm where that hail core is should stay around, hopefully south of Kiptopeke and over Fisherman Island as we go into the next few moments. So that's a big part of the storm. I'm happy that's not moving over a higher populated area. Into the south side right now and also into North Carolina. Let me just kind of show you a loop of what these storms are doing. That storm near Elizabeth City is getting stronger too. I know there isn't a warning for your area, but I'm going to give you a little forecast on that in just a second here. Give me a moment. Thunderstorms are developing right across Virginia Beach. Thunderstorms are also developing right across areas into North Carolina too. Let me see what's going on with these storms into Virginia Beach right now. So we have these strong thunderstorms that are developing right over your area. Let me see if there's any wind with these. There's probably some. We're probably getting wind speeds around 30 to 40 miles an hour. Yeah, there we go, 41 miles an hour. That makes sense. So these storms are going to start generating some wind of their own. So what will probably happen is this wind is going to expand into Pungo. This wind's going to expand into Sandbridge, towards the ocean front, towards the north end. We're going to get wind gusts around 30 to 60 miles an hour possibly in this warned area coming up in the next 30 to 45 minutes. So there's a chance that it could knock down some trees. There's a chance that it could knock out your power. I hope that isn't the case, but that's a possibility as we go into tonight with these thunderstorms. Now for spots into Chesapeake specifically in terms of hail, let's see if there's any hail that's developing out of these storms. Pea-size, maybe dime-size hail. The largest hail, if we do have it, is over the bay, moving into Fisherman Island right now. So that's where we're seeing the strongest part of the thunderstorms. But in terms of the area where we have the wind, that's also focused not just for the eastern shore, but also into some of the Southside Hampton Road cities. The warning for Hampton, that expires at 2 o'clock. That storm has moved out of the warned area, so you're looking better into Hampton. For the eastern shore, you're seeing some of the strongest winds right now, especially right towards Kiptopeke. Some very strong winds and also some hail is a possibility. Towards Hickory, that storm has gotten a lot stronger. There could be wind speeds around 40 to 60 miles an hour with that. The warning that was for North Carolina looks like it was allowed to expire or was canceled, so that's good news there. Into Elizabeth City, we do not have a warning for your area, but this is a strong-looking storm. Look at all the lightning that you have in your area into Parkville and near Elizabeth City right now. Let me just see what the wind is looking like. It's not looking as strong as what we have farther to the north, but we are still seeing some strong winds that are possible with this, 27, 30 miles an hour. So not extreme. That's why we don't have a warning on it. but it still will bring in a lot of thunder and lightning. This is a loud thunderstorm, so this is going to wake you up in Elizabeth City. And I don't blame you if it wakes you up and if it's a little bit scary, because this storm is really talking a lot of lightning with that thunderstorm. That's moving to the east. Let's say it's moving to the east. We'll use 30 to 4. It's not moving that slow. It's moving around 40 miles an hour. These storms have sped up. There's a new warning for the Outer Banks. I just see that popping up here. We'll get to the Outer Banks after we do Virginia Beach, because for everyone on the Outer Banks, they're probably getting the alert right now. They're just waking up. They haven't turned on their TV quite yet. They're not that fast. Maybe you are, but I'll get to you second, I promise. Elizabeth City, let me clear everything out because there's a lot going on the screen here. 2:03 in the morning for Elizabeth City. Coinjock, 2:29 in the morning. Corolla, 2:39 in the morning. Let's focus in on the storm into Virginia Beach. Right now, there's a good chance for some strong wind into Virginia Beach. There's also a lot of heavy rain that's moving into Virginia Beach too. This storm has had a history. Look at that. There's that new warning into North Carolina. Just give you that time to arrival. So I beat the warning being issued there. But for spots into Virginia Beach, we've had a history of the storm producing some strong wind. I haven't seen any recent wind gusts or storm reports from this, which is interesting. Usually the buoys over the Hampton Roads area. Hampton Roads, the area of water. That's where we get our first wind gusts that reported in out of those. I haven't seen any yet. I only have this one computer in front of me that controls the graphics, so I can't see if there's been any new alerts. But I do have my smartphone here, and that does buzz me when there are some alerts. So I'll look for that as we go on. But for Virginia Beach, in terms of the wind speed and the wind gusts, right now I'm seeing wind gusts around 40 miles an hour or so. The strongest winds are definitely over the bay, and those are coming in around 50 to 60 miles an hour. So for spots into Virginia Beach, the threat still continues. We have the warning that goes until 2:45 in the morning, 45 more minutes to go. We could see some strong wind gusts across areas in Virginia Beach. 60-mile-an-hour winds are the possibility for the wind speeds. The heavy rain continues. We could get 1 to 2 inches of rain from this thunderstorm. We've had so much rain lately. Could get a little bit extra. So best thing to do is to be downstairs right now. Get away from the windows in case there is any blowing debris. The strongest part of the storm in Virginia Beach is outside of Great Bridge, just to the east now of Hickory. This part of the storm here is a good amount of lightning with it. There may be some hail within this spot. There's also maybe a little bit of hail near Lansdowne. Dime-sized hail. This isn't the type of hail that's going to destroy your car or your garden. So this isn't the kind of hail that's going to be destructive. But we do have and Ricky Matthews just texted me, Norfolk Airport just gusted to 47 miles an hour, 49 miles an hour at Norfolk Naval. So we've seen some strong wind gusts out of this. I appreciate that, Ricky. Thank you for sending me these messages. 37-mile-an-hour wind gusts at Langley. So that's good to see. We have this warned storm into areas for Virginia Beach. We've seen wind gusts, as Ricky mentioned, at 47 miles an hour at the Norfolk Airport, 49-mile-an-hour gust at Norfolk Naval. So we've seen some very strong wind gusts earlier into Norfolk, and that's exactly what our radar was showing. For the Eastern Shore, you could see some strong wind gusts moving into your area right now. Let me see what they're looking like right now. They're moving in the Cape Charles, so you're going to see some very strong winds in Cape Charles. So it's best to get away from the windows right now. It's not a tornado, but it is a storm that could bring in winds that may knock down trees when you have wind gusts of 56 miles an hour. So that's a concern with that storm right there. Back to radar, we're going to zoom all the way out. We're going to look at these warned storms into northeast North Carolina for the Outer Banks. Now, the good news is, and we haven't gotten to this point yet until today, this is the line of severe weather. Behind it, it's done. So this is all clear. Middle Peninsula, clear. Williamsburg, clear. Melfa, you're in the clear. Hampton, it's still kind of coming down, but you're in the clear for tonight. Suffolk, you missed out. You didn't get the thunderstorms. I don't know if you've been watching me for the last, I don't know how long I've been on the air here. Let's just say I've been on for 45 minutes. We had that storm that developed near the Chowan River. We had that storm that developed over the peninsula. and they missed you. So you missed out on the rain and the severe weather for tonight. Where we have the active weather, Virginia Beach, warning goes until 2:45 in the morning. Outer Banks, the warning goes until, 3 o'clock in the morning for this one in Elizabeth City. And then for the Outer Banks specifically, about 3 o'clock in the morning. So these storms are fast movers. Let's do a little time to arrival on these. I know I just did it, and that was before the warning was issued. Let's do it again. And let's include the Outer Banks. Let's move this over. And there we go. And I'm going to let you read these as I get a drink of water because I need that. But you can see Coin Jock at 219, Mateo at around 242. The main threat for these, like all the other storms that we've had, could be wind gusts to 60 miles an hour. So we could see some very strong wind gusts with these storms, maybe some small hail. There hasn't been a lot of hail with these recently, but let me check one thing before I continue on that, because I have to kind of keep an eye on everything here as we continue on. And I see that too. That's new. South of Windsor, I know this was 1-inch diameter, quarter-size hail. I remember seeing that report from earlier. For spots in the Chesapeake, I want to see what's going on with that, because that's a new hail report, and the radar is not saying that the hail has been that large. So let's see what verified. It verified larger than what the radar is estimating, because that's where we have, let me move this over a little bit. That's where we have a lot of the lightning that popped up not too long ago. So that makes sense. Where we have a lot of lightning, that can mean two things: strong winds or large hail. And in this case, it was large hail. I'm going to rewind the radar a bit because I want to see what it looked like, so I can kind of get a better idea on what this thing might be wanting to do. So we just got some large hail reported in out of areas into the city of Chesapeake. Great Bridge is where we got that large hail. So this is right, the report came in, here's Cedar right here, here's Battlefield right here in that shopping district. So this is just south of that shopping district. That Kroger is right here. And this kind of comes into off of that road. I believe, let me see here where I'm getting my perspective on that. Yeah, so this is kind of that whole shopping area where there's all of those businesses. That's where we got that large hail report not too long ago. So quarter-size hail can do some damage. Golf ball-size hail is where we start to get the larger damage out of this. Let's see what else is going on in the storm. Where do we have maybe the chance for some large hail right now? Where I see these higher spots of reflectivity, and I'm getting messages here from the National Weather Service, and I see that they're canceling some of the spots that are in the severe thunderstorm watch. So we'll get to that in a moment. But where we have these higher reflectivities, these pinks and purples and dark reds, that's where we could have some hail. So this is right off of Blackwater Road right now. There may be some hail coming down into your area. As we look farther to the north, near Glenwood, just heavy rainfall. That heavy rain extends into Virginia Beach, but there's also another spot that I see where there's some higher reflectivity. There could be another hail core right around here. This is near Linwood, so maybe a chance for some quarter-size hail with this too. This is right around the neighborhoods that are off of Little Neck Road. You can see Richardson Road had just moved through your area. We'll zoom in a little bit more towards Heron's Gate, Little Haven Road right here. I'm tilting my head because I'm trying to read these at the angle that they're at. So that's Prince Philip Drive, Oxford Drive. You could see some heavy rainfall coming down and maybe even some hail as well. In terms of the hail cores, I'm not seeing anything very large, but that's over Mount Trashmore right now. I don't have access to my my Town Center Virginia Beach camera here because I want to stay here. But here's Tower Cam 10. You can see how that storm just moved through areas into Portsmouth right now. Some heavy rain. I want to show you where that severe thunderstorm watch is, and it still shows it active, but I believe that is not the case. So I'm just reading from my phone here. The watch has been canceled for areas into Matthews County. The watch has been canceled for some areas into North Carolina. So what I would expect, I'm not certain on for the watch for Virginia Beach, but really regardless, I'm just going to kind of go out on a limb here and say this watch is pretty much done for. There's no real reason for it to exist anymore, because when we look at Super Doppler 10, and it's loading right now, the areas where we had the severe weather or the chances for severe weather, the thunderstorms have rolled through. So essentially, we're looking in the clear now for spots across many of the Hampton Road cities. Let me give you a little loop because I haven't done this for a while. Where are these storms going? So this is the leading edge of the storms. This took forever to develop. We've been waiting for this for hours. I thought this would come through at 9 or 10 o'clock tonight, and here we are, 2 o'clock in the morning. But it came through, and here are the strong storms and the strong winds. These are moving off of the coast or along the coastline right now. So we're about to be totally in the clear for Virginia Beach. It's gotten a lot stronger in Virginia Beach. We're going to do some more analysis on your area here soon because you're getting some strong winds now, maybe some hail. But for the peninsula, you're looking clear. Middle Peninsula, clear. Eastern Shore, except for Northampton County, so Accomack County, you're clear. Suffolk, clear. Ahoskie, you're in the clear. Also into Belvedere, Elizabeth City, almost in the clear.